In Europe, they went more for bulk. Here, they went for mass, but with definition and symmetry. And because he lacked the definition and symmetry, he took second place. At that event, I was able to get to know him, and I knew that he could be a great champion. He had a mind of a champion, and he had the heart of a champion.
Weider became Schwarzenegger's mentor, agreeing to sponsor him for 1 year and finding him a small apartment. He sent the young champion to Gold's Gym in Venice, California, where the top bodybuilders in the world came to train. From Joe, Arnold learned the latest training techniques, as well as the secrets of Weider's multi-million-dollar publishing empire. Inspired, Arnold began his own mail-order company, selling training tips and manuals. And like everything else in his life, he was determined to conquer capitalism on his own terms.
I happen to be a very serious businessman, and I took my work very, very serious. Actually, I sacrificed a lot of pleasure in accomplishing my work. And Arnold says, you know, Joe, you may be one of the best successful businessmen I know at that time, but I don't like your life because you don't have any joy. Everything I do has to be fun. I have to have joy in everything that I do.
It was Arnold's joyous celebration of life that won him instant popularity among the California strongmen.
If anyone had walked into Gold's Gym before Arnold came to America, my guess is that it would have been a fairly dull place. When Arnold arrived in America, he set Gold's Gym on edge, and he was king of the gym, and he got everyone's energy up. It was incredible.
8, 9, 10. Beautiful. How you feel?
I'll tell you, you know, you just can't imagine, for me, what a goddamn treat it is working out with you. I mean, you don't believe it.
Photographer George Butler met Arnold while working on a book about bodybuilding, Pumping Iron, which he later adapted into an award-winning documentary film.
It was wonderful to drive around Santa Monica in those days with Arnold, because we'd come up to a stoplight somewhere and there'd be a UCLA cheerleader in a red Firebird convertible at the stoplight, and Arnold would flex his tricep at her. And it was the most extraordinary thing the woman had ever seen in her life, and she would not be able to drive her car.
In 1969, a lean, tanned, 230-pound Schwarzenegger won his first IFFB Mr. Universe title in New York, placing second in the even more prestigious Mr. Olympia contest the same night. Then he was on a plane back to London to again win the European Mr. Universe title, eclipsing his childhood idol, Reg Park. By 1970, he had captured the Mr. Olympia trophy and would continue to reign supreme for a record 6 years in a row.
He had a physique back then that excelled anything that any Mr. Olympia has right now. I mean, we work with him all day long, and we don't see bodies better, you know, physiques better than what Arnold had 20 years ago. So he was way ahead of his time.
In the midst of these triumphs, there also was tragedy. Back in Austria, his brother Meinhard was killed in an automobile accident. Shortly afterward, Gustav Schwarzenegger died of a stroke, never having experienced the greatest glories of his youngest son's achievements. In 1970, Arnold found yet another mentor and surrogate father figure in sports promoter Jim Lorimer, whom he met backstage after winning the nationally televised Mr. World contest.
When the competition was over, he said, when I am done competing in the sport of bodybuilding, I want to go into the promotion of the sport, legitimatize the sport, raise the cash prizes up over $100,000, and ask you to be my partner. And I said, oh yeah, okay, you know, because I did not know that here is a man who makes his plans 5 years out.
In November of 1975, Schwarzenegger held his 6th Mr. Olympia trophy before a cheering crowd, and then announced that he would be retiring from bodybuilding competition. After the contest was over, Arnold phoned Jim Lorimer as promised and asked him to go into the business of promoting professional bodybuilding.
He said, I'll handle the fundraising and getting the athletes, you handle the organization. Just in 4 years, he got the cash prizes up over $100,000, and now the cash prizes are up over $300,000. So that infusion of cash has helped to raise the image of the sport, legitimize it. But it was Arnold's long-range goal setting and his commitment to a course of action that made that growth possible.
At the age of 28, Arnold Schwarzenegger was already the undisputed champion bodybuilder in the world. Now it was time to realize the second phase of his childhood dream, to become a movie star.
Our biography of Arnold Schwarzenegger will continue here on A&E.
Sometimes you feel like a nut. Sometimes you don't. Almond Joy's got nuts. Mounds don't. Because sometimes you feel like it, sometimes you...
If you use Crest, Colgate, Aquafresh, Mentadent, or any other toothpaste, I have one word for you. Rembrandt. Rembrandt can get even clean teeth 2 shades whiter and reduces plaque and tartar more effectively than regular Crest. Rembrandt.
Most competitions start with a level playing field. But when you're competing for Four-Wheeler of the Year, you can't count on anything.
It just was very rich. For me, it just wanted to be made. I think also you got the great theme music, so it's classic.
Do you hum a few bars?
Bum bum ba-da, bum bum ba-da. How's that?
Well, Tom better stick to acting, but you will be humming that theme for a long time.
The battle for the entertainment dollar in Los Angeles has heated up over the last year, with more and more X-rated clubs opening their doors. The clubs feature beautiful young women who do everything from nude dancing to lap dancing, and the competition for customers is fierce. There is an explosion of X-rated clubs in the Southland. Check out all the newspaper ads that feature totally nude dancing. Business is busting out all over. These aren't the old smoke-filled neighborhood bars with pasties and beer. They don't sell liquor at these so-called gentlemen's clubs. So the law says no booze, no pasties or panties needed while performing.
A lot of people do perceive us as prostitutes, and no, we are not. We're entertainers.
You can look at the likes of Madison, but you can't touch. But that doesn't mean at clubs like the Industrial Strip in North Hollywood, simulated sex or lap dancing isn't encouraged.
You get one-on-one experience going that private lap dancing booth dancing. Hell, gentlemen, as a matter of fact, it is time right now for that little one-on-one experience.
In a private booth for $30, women wearing bikini bottoms the size of dental floss sit on a customer's lap and grind away. The guys can't touch with their hands, and the bouncers constantly circle the rooms to make sure they don't.
This is a very safe form of safe sex, I guess you could say. There's a lot of people that come in here, they like to be visually entertained. By the no contact, it keeps everybody safe.
It's big business, all cash. It costs $8 to $10 to get into the clubs that look like Las Vegas lounge shows.
Would be Schwarzenegger's first and most forgettable film. His credit reads Arnold Strong, with an obviously overdubbed voice to mask his thick Austrian accent.
He was practical. He didn't care. He knew he had a shortcoming, so do what you have to do to get the job done. And he wanted to do a job and to get it done good.
But despite his positive attitude, Arnold found Hollywood less receptive than he had hoped.
I was told by several agents that I have everything going against me. First of all, they said you have a long name and a difficult name to pronounce, so I should change my name. Then they said I had a strange accent, I should change that and speak more like an American. And then they told me I had a very unusual build, which would never make it into films.
Always willing to work hard and improve, Arnold began acting lessons in 1974 after he was cast in Bob Raffleson's Stay Hungry. It was a supporting role, but a good one, and Arnold was determined to make an impression. Sally Field, the star of the film, was among those who took notice.
I felt certain, and everybody did, that Arnold was going to be something very successful in his life. He's so charming and he's so smart. you just knew it. You just knew he had a very clear sense of how to apply himself.
For his role as a bodybuilder in Stay Hungry, Arnold won the Golden Globe for Best Newcomer.
Now comes the big muscles. Excellent deltoids. All the way down to his lower.
Hard to just hold it for a long time, you know.
Then in 1977, Butler's documentary Pumping Iron opened, chronicling Schwarzenegger's victory in the 1975 Olympia contest.
Okay, no noise now, no talking.
As his charming, confident self, Arnold's on-screen charisma was impossible to resist.
This is the most boring thing, the whole workout. I'd rather do squats than waist work. You don't like it? Can't stand it. That's the time I use to think about how I make the next $10,000.
I saw both Pumping Iron and Stay Hungry. There was something very charming about him in both those films. And you had a sense that there was a real brain at work there, and that here's a man who obviously had a great sense of humor about him as well.
Well, I met Arnold for the first time backstage at the USA Film Festival in Dallas, Texas in the 1970s. And what I remember was his seriousness, his focus. He had brought along his textbooks. He was studying a business administration course in college, and he was doing his homework in between the screenings. And he was talking about the fact that he was very much on track with two careers. He wanted to be a movie star, but he also thought that he could invest in real estate and other things like that if the movie star thing didn't work out. He, even at that point, wasn't swept away by a lot of Hollywood dreams of tinsel and so forth. He was very realistic and very focused and very smart.
Pumping Iron led to small roles in Hal Needham's The Villain and in the television movie The Jane Mansfield Story with Lonnie Anderson.
My heart went out to him at first because his accent was so thick that you really couldn't understand, and they'd have to have him repeat a lot of his lines. And I thought, oh, he must be so nervous. Then I was really impressed with the fact that he had one of the best senses of humor that I have ever come across in 2 languages.
Already a successful businessman combining real estate investments, a best-selling autobiography, and other books and publications, Schwarzenegger could afford to wait for the right film project. He filled his time with public appearances and various social functions, like the Robert F. Kennedy tennis tournament in New York, where he caught the eye of a beautiful dark-haired girl. She was 22-year-old Maria Owings Shriver, daughter of Eunice Kennedy and Sergeant Shriver, John F. Kennedy's niece, and an ambitious journalist on the rise.
We fell in love at first sight, yes.
I think the chemistry was very good right from the beginning. I think that he liked Maria, and she had a certain, feistiness and, of course, a real beauty about her. And they came from 2 different worlds, perhaps, but those worlds just meshed in a wonderful way.
When I met Maria first, I said into Arnold's ear, if you're ever going to marry, this is the woman. Because I knew Arnold described me his ideal woman when he was very young, age 20 around. So when I saw her, I couldn't believe it. So she was it.
Maria introduced Arnold to the Special Olympics, which the Shriver family had founded, and he joined her as an active supporter of the event.
When you go and train Special Olympians, you go in there thinking that you are there to inspire them, because you are the great athlete, or you've won the Mr. Universe contest that have lifted all these weights. But the fact is that when you walk out of there, you feel inspired by what they can do with all those obstacles. So I always get tremendous inspiration out of that.
In 1979, Arnold began another new career as a CBS sports commentator and graduated the University of Wisconsin with a business degree. Then in 1980, he stunned the bodybuilding world with his comeback at the Mr. Olympia competition in Australia, where he captured his 7th title. It propelled him into his first leading role as Conan the Barbarian. He spent a year in training, working on his speech and learning how to wield iron broadswords with grace.
The interesting thing about this is the training is so different. You always talk about, stopping.
Yeah.
stopping, bad stop. So you have to kind of retrain the muscles. Everything has to be retrained in the mind. I went to acting school, and I did all the things that you have to do, because I'm used to this from bodybuilding, that you have to do a lot of training to get good. But the thing that is very much like my bodybuilding career is that I have the total confidence in it, that I have something to offer that people would like to see, and that's why I'm doing it.
Conan the Barbarian raked in over $100 million at the box office. Well, not exactly Shakespeare, it did showcase Arnold's physical prowess